So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Bloomberg absolutely savaging the Kwarteng's mini budget, and obviously this is kind of like an FT. Bloomberg, I'd say, probably similar to the Economist or the FT. They're the money paper. You know, they're going to do what's in the interest of kind of money, the big money. But you know, they raise points that, you know, people who read Bloomberg, people who are interested in this stuff, you know, they're probably going to get a huge tax cut from the government, but for the broader economy, it's not good news. So I found this quite interesting.
A lot of our viewers in the UK just got a whole lot richer. You've got Kwasi Kwarteng scrapping the 45% top rate of income tax. He's scrapped the caps on bankers' bonuses. It's £45 billion worth of tax cuts. If you earn more than £1 million a year in the UK, you're getting a £55,000 tax cut next year, which is twice what a typical earner earns in a year. That's according to the Resolution Foundation, and he's doing it while he's cutting benefits for people who aren't doing enough to find a job in the middle of a cost of living crisis.
That's important. You know, during the cost of living crisis, he's trying to put more pressure on people to find jobs when unemployment is already incredibly very low. I think it's around 3%. So you can tell that, you know, despite the fact there are record vacancies, you've got to really look at that that unemployment figure and break down why is it that still exists, because no country can get to 100% employment. Unless you're like Nazi Germany or something. But the fact is, trying to force these people into jobs simply won't work, because where the vacancies exist, the people may not exist, or the expertise may not exist. But you can see the government clearly happy to give away tax giveaways to their friends. I think she said it'd be about £40 billion.
All in the name of growth, which is a huge gamble, as you say. Politically, Liz Truss says she doesn't mind being unpopular, but she's got to be popular by the election in 2024. And it's an economic gamble as well.
A lot of these things won't kick in until I think until the next financial year. So she does not have a long time to get popular.
You've talked about the tanking bonds, tanking pound. We spoke to Martin Wheel, the former Bank of England policymaker, yesterday. I have to say that he is one of the most level-headed Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee alumni, and he said it's all going to end in tears. Take a listen to what he said.
Just before he comes in here, you've got, I think, £40 billion worth of tax cuts that are happening, all based around borrowing. And, you know, an important thing to remember is, where is the tweet? You know, you got the energy cap or whatever, the subsidy that Liz Truss is putting in, it's going to cost around £60 billion. So you've got about £100 billion worth of borrowing happening here, right? Minimum £100 billion, right? You've got UK bond prices absolutely tanking. And what that means is, I think the government have to pay more in yields and other things in order to kind of sell the bonds, because people ain't buying them. That's a big problem.
We've had other previous experiences where, you know, chancellors have gone for growth. The most famous examples were the dash for growth in the 1960s and then the Barber boom in the 1970s, and they both ended in tears. And I must say I expect the same sort of thing will happen with Kwarteng's policy, that there'll probably be, although I wouldn't like to say when, there'll probably be a clear run on the pound, and then the Bank of England will be forced to put up interest rates to stabilise the exchange rate. No, much as we had in 1976.
There'll be a clear run on the pound. So I think he's saying the pound will drop even more. It's already dropping massively. How much worse could this get?
So you heard from Martin Wheel, former Bank of England policymaker, there expressing his concerns about what this is going to do in markets. But we've just heard from Kwasi Kwarteng. He says that markets are going to do what they do. So he's going to...
He's arguing he's got no control over it, but evidently as Chancellor he does have some control over it. You know, the market is largely based on people's emotions, how they think a country's going to do or how badly they think a country's going to do. But, you know, when Kwarteng was giving his statement, the pound dropped. So evidently he's impacting the market with this stupidity. A couple other things I did want to talk about. A muted response to Kwarteng, you know, him saying, a Tory MP telling, I think, Pippa, that I have never known the party so divided so soon after a leadership election. Because you think a leadership election, you know, everyone would, you know, fall in line behind the new leader, etc. It's very divided. Let's not forget that Truss, she didn't win the party membership vote by a lot. I think she won a lot less percentage-wise than Boris Johnson did. She was barely on the ballot. Tory MPs, I think, would rather have had Sunak or Penny Mordaunt. Penny Mordaunt being third, a very, very close third in the Tory kind of MPs votes. and Sunak being the clear favourite. So I don't think she's very popular. So clearly, I don't think they're big fans of Kwarteng's work. I did see this really interesting thing from Chris Mason saying, do you think the economy's in a recession? Kwarteng saying, technically the Bank of England said there was a recession. I think it will be shallow and I think we can rebound and grow. And then him saying, so Mason saying, you acknowledge that that there is going to be a recession. And then Kwarteng saying, I'm not acknowledging that. No, I said there is technically a recession. We've got 2 quarters of very little negative growth. And I think these measures are going to help us drive growth. So effectively him saying, we've had 2 quarters of negative growth. So he's saying the next quarters we should have significant growth because we're tanking right now. That's what it seems like. A recession, Mason saying a recession is a recession, and you're saying we're in a recession. You've got Kwarteng saying there's a big difference. Technically, the economists say 2 consecutive quarters is a recession, technical recession. But I think we're going to grow the economy. That's what we're focused on. And Mason saying, because I've noticed today that you and your colleagues have talked about avoiding a deep recession, which struck me as acknowledging that a small recession is now inevitable, which is true that when you say we're trying to avoid a deep recession, that means we're already in some sort of recession. It's like saying we want to stop the person from bleeding out, means you acknowledge that they've been shot or stabbed, effectively. Kwarteng saying, no, I don't think it's inevitable. I think there was a risk, and the Prime Minister, and that there was a risk. But it would have been worse if we'd carried on taxing people and putting burdens on ordinary people, even though their tax cut goes vast majority to the rich people, not to the the ordinary person. That would have been a disaster, and that's what we've campaigned against, and that's what we're trying to reverse. So they're going to push us into a much deeper recession because of their actions. I genuinely fear that these people are so stupid they have no idea how much damage they're doing. I do have some other issues though. Kwarteng previously worked for O'Day Asset Management, providing political advice. He now sits as the Chancellor. The pound has crashed, and it's reported that O'Day Hedge Fund had increased 145% on bets against the UK government bonds, which is obviously important. There was one more thing I want to talk about in this video, which I'm going to cover in another video anyways, which is, this is a screenshot. A source who was present at a dinner attended by hedge fund managers a week ago revealed that there were supporters of Liz Truss and every one of them was shorting the pound. Several made small fortunes on Friday betting against the currency. So there was some sort of dinner that happened before Kwarteng gave his speech. All right, they were all supporters of Liz Truss. So all of these people potentially financially backed Liz Truss during her leadership period, maybe because they knew that they could make money via disaster capitalism, that they could tank the UK, and that would make them a lot of money, given the fact that Liz Truss was talking a lot about tax cuts. She's talking about a lot of the things that would lead to the UK doing very poorly on the world stage when it comes to the currency and the bonds, etc. There's a lot of low confidence, which means the government are going to struggle to sell bonds. You're going to have to increase the yields. I'm not an expert in that field, but so I can't really translate what this article means from Reuters. But what we can see is that this guy, O'Day, his hedge fund is one of the big hedge fund manager. He's betting against the government bonds, and his firm have made massive profits after shorting the long-dated UK debt. This is a person who made a lot of money, I think, from shorting the pound as well during the referendum. I don't know if it's him, but I know one of the hedge funders lost a lot of money during, I'm not going to say it was O'Day because I don't know specifically, but during the whole prorogation crisis, one of the hedge funders that was shorting the pound lost a lot of money because in the end the Supreme Court reversed the decision against prorogation, which could have led to stopping a no-deal Brexit, but that's more speculatory. But what we can see is that people are making a lot of money from betting against the UK, and some of these people were at dinner with Liz Truss, so there are accusations of insider trading, but I don't, we kind of relatively had a decent relative understanding of what Liz Truss was about, which was trickle-down economics. So the budget that Kwarteng gave out wasn't really that much of a surprise, in my opinion. And these people obviously knew how it would appear on the global stage, so they decided to continue shorting government bonds, continue shorting the pound, and they made a lot of money off it. So, disaster capitalists are making money hand over fist because of the UK's downfall. So what more can you say from apart from, I bet you're glad you voted Tory, everyone, in 2019. I bet all those Tories are glad they voted for Liz Truss, because this country's going to hell. It's genuinely burning down, and there are people making so much profit off it. It's unreal. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.